Harish, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's early morning in Boston and you've really taken time out to do this. But like I
Thank
said
you.
to you earlier, I was really keen to have your voice. I feel it represents a lot of aspirations, a lot of journeys that I think will be relevant today. So I was really keen to have you in this initiative, 60 Days and 60 Voices, that game with a bunch of our partners have started not just let's have one more webinar, but really can we bring together different voices around the same theme and identify a way forward for small businesses emerging in a post-COVID world. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
My first question, Harish, to you is, what are the challenges? We've lived through this now a month and a half, 2 months, and you yourself are currently in America, which is a
Right.
hotbed.
Right.
What are you seeing as challenges, both from your own personal perspective, but also from perhaps SELCO Foundation?
So I think the biggest challenge that we've seen over the last 6 to 8 weeks, and as we've been dealing with some of the incubatees, the SMEs, is the magnitude of the destruction of the ecosystem that people are not perceiving. So it's like as if there's a floods going on around your house, and you think that as soon as the floods are over, you open your door, the roads will exist. And the question is, people don't realize that most of the roads would have been destroyed. So it's not going to be business as usual. Utilize your time to relook at what is my different types of transportation that I can do once the door is opened. Rather, and am I clued into what's happening outside in a way that the 5th, 6th, 8th, 12th, and 15th road is gone? I only have 2 roads. Are the 4 roads having potholes that I can fill up and move on? So I think the magnitude saying that I need to diversify, I need to relook at business models, I need to relook at what the market. Oh, I'm not in our business. It's not going to be open the door and I'm going to start selling solar. Oh, banks are going to finance. I think this is the time. Unfortunately, people are doing the waiting game rather than the thinking game, and that I think is the biggest challenge that I see. Uh, is it's like, oh, can we wait? And we're waiting. Or can I? Or even some of the proposals that we see people giving out is like, can you give me money to tide over these 2 months? As if after 2 months, I'm just negated by 2 months and saying that what business plan I had for January, it's going to be valid for July. And that, and added to that, the biggest challenge is that there are hardly any good crisis manager mentors. A lot of people are advising, go, receivables, can you collect the receivables now? Because the guy who's even coming to pay you the money might not have the money. Or it is a different ecosystem that it was that in which you are selling home lighting system that might not be existing. So there's a very poor set or of crisis management, especially for the SME sector.
No, and that's really important, right? Your point about people are thinking that we're just going to go back to business as usual because we're, in a sense, the social distancing and lockdowns is keeping us safe. But
Right.
reality will hit when we emerge. Are you seeing, though, that there are some people who are able to look at this in that perspective of, it's going to be a new normal, and possibly it's a time for opportunity of new things? Are you seeing that?
Yes, in a little bit, but those are the things, guys, that you start even inside the organization. I'm saying even inside the organization, you suddenly see leaders that you had not seen them before. See, entrepreneurs whom you would not have been quiet, who been like, but suddenly you realize who are the people who are actually coming up with initiative right now in the organization as well as outside. Huh, boss, these guys know how to, like, it's not like there's a big rock on a railway track and I'm waiting for somebody to remove the rock, but can I think of a different railway track from across the rock to go across? These are the times. Yes, I mean, I see, for example, I can talk about this guy Green Gold, who works in South Odisha, in a very very tough area as such without COVID, right? And he basically came up using the Tunisian model, where in Tunisia, where they got in a factory, they basically social distance all the workers with the rest of the world, giving assurance to the family of the women that we will feed you and we'll give you the salaries, but you will not be able to see your wife or mother for a month and a half. So what they did was basically permission, and it was in a nice manner. All the 300 people who were tested, brought into a factory, completely food, both family, social distance, and they were doing masks in 8-hour shifts. And all the profits were shared by the 300 or 200 women. Same thing, this guy in green gold basically put up 12 or 13 or 14, 15 sewing machines and did the same thing and was supplying, and he's growing his business. So there are people opportunity, and interestingly, many of the poorer entrepreneurs who are part of our incubation, 90% of them have come to us not asking for money, saying that, can you work with us to think about new business channels? And that's the difference I find out in the English newspapers versus these people, is that a lot of these people are saying, can we bail out money? Can I, whether it's US, India, can we bail it out, bail out? But many of these businesses are not asking for money. They're saying that, can you give me a little bit of guarantee so I can take a loan? Or can you help me think what new type of businesses? For me, that has given an extreme hope that there are a lot of positive people, just that we need to create an ecosystem to make sure that their needs are met in the manner they're actually thinking.
That makes a lot of sense. What are you doing differently, Harish? How are you addressing the challenges you're faced with currently?
See, there are two parts, if I can answer. Being on the board of SELCO India, which is a for-profit, which is a social enterprise, and it's owned by 3 not-for-profits, but it's a for-profit. And there are 600 of us in that. I'm just on the board. I don't run it now. The way it has said that all 60 offices were triggered up on day one of before a week of lockdown. When we started looking at the Italian scenario, we knew it's going to hit us. So we put in place or kind of got everybody. See, for 60% of my colleagues, what do you mean by work from home, right? What do I do at home? So they have nothing to do at home. This guy, the technician, the people guys, they have nothing to do much in the computer, in the laptop. So we had to make sure that many of these guys are kept busy, upgrading their skills, and also parallelly looking at what are the alternative mechanisms of revenues. Who are the people who will have cash? It either would be CSR or the government, or the North Star, as people are saying, is the health sector. Where can we complement the service of the health sector? For example, yesterday they released an ambulance, COVID testing ambulance with solar powered equipments inside, right? So they've been working on designs and innovations. So all the 60 officers are basically looking at mapping out the 60 parts of Karnataka and saying that, what is minus COVID, what is COVID, and COVID plus plus? What is the strategy? So lots, and I think there are a lot of, there's multiple, one is webinars, but also we're getting multiple ministers, multiple DCs. I said, this is the time to reach out to the government, because it's unbelievable, not reception that we are getting from local DCs. That month ago, it was very difficult to get those appointments. Today, suddenly they're realizing that we're coming with the ideas to actually complement their efforts. And so we're basically utilizing that connections, and hopefully we'll go back in the future and say, boss, please change this policy. So we were there. It's obviously going to misuse that. One is that SELCO Foundation strategy is, boss, this is the place where you need to die, in a sense that, so we've canceled our holidays, and no holidays, for example, because this is where the foundation is what it should be. This is where if company needs to conserve cash. SELCO Foundation, if it starts conserving cash, then we might close the foundation. So we said, boss, this is where we went to the funders and say, if we are not innovative enough at this point of time, you don't need to give us money anymore. So it's an all-out strategy in the foundation. Where else can we do this is the worst crisis that can hit. That means the best innovations in business modeling, innovations in cash flows, innovations in technology in terms of health and energy, and what are the 4 or 5 sectors that needs to be done on a crisis mode next week, within 1 month, 6 months, 1 year down the line. A lot of focus on livelihoods, and especially agriculture. and that's for the foundation and work, and leaves have been cancelled. I mean, so the thing is that this is not the time. We said leaves all pending after the COVID crisis, go and take off.
Yeah, no, what you said was true, right? In a way, we exist for this. So
Exactly.
it's counterproductive to then not work at this time. It's almost for us
Absolutely.
an opportunity to do what we said we wanted to do.
Right.
You know, if I
Linking
put,
and also pushing the needle across the world, saying that there's another pandemic which we are not able to see, that's the climate change. This is a seen thing. This is a temporary that will phase away. But climate is this has, we are doing this because this has hit the poor, rich, the Chinese, the Indians, the Americans, everybody else. Unfortunately, today's brunt of climate is being borne only by the poor in terms of floods, droughts, everything else. So there we are seeing an opportunity, saying that it's a crisis that will actually, the one of the biggest linkages between all these crises is decentralized approach to business, decentralized approach to the ecosystem, and that's where sustainable energies like solar actually make a lot of sense. So this is the time we're trying to push the needle. And also, just like webinar, I'm saying that a lot of people are sitting at home in terms of whom we could not have on one side, like the private equity guys or the MBA guys who've been doing in private equity. Boss, घर पे बैठा हुआ ना, boss, two things. One, I want you to, I'm not telling you that you will be a mentor guy in Bombay. You are going to listen to now. This is my chance to show you what Indian real life. तुम मेरे को अच्छा से advice दो, बस इसका business कैसा जाएगा. And after a month, 90% of them said, boss, ये advice हमसे नहीं होने वाला, because we don't know the reality. I might be an IMA graduate, I might be this, but I'm not able to give advice. So this has also shown reality to a lot of the people that it's not an easy business, but it also brought in that 10% of positive guys, boss, we need to, the sensitivity of inclusiveness has come in. And for my own colleagues, we've been having private webinars for our 200, 300, like for example, we've been, Dennis Hayes, who's the founder of Earth Day, or John Podesta, who was Bill Clinton's chief of staff. So we're getting those guys to speak to our colleagues, just to give a perspective about the world, what it means to be the chief of staff of Clinton and Obama, what it means to run Hillary's campaign, or what it means to why the environmental movement in the 1970s. So how do I up the base of the knowledge of SELCO's people? And this is the time for us to, and these guys are free in many ways, and why not utilize that time?
no, and that nicely leads me to my last question, because you've touched on the theme in both your earlier responses on the idea of collaboration, right? Today, none of us can do it on our own.
Right.
And many of us, it's been a reality check. And therefore open to coming together to solve large problems.
Right.
I'd love your perspective on that piece on collaboration and its importance now more than ever.
See, yeah, I mean, so for example, one is it has extremely small microorganism has rendered a lot of us helpless, and it has also inverted the world in terms of who are essential and who are non-essential. And that's why I say a lot of us who are working onto the laptop, the world is still happening even when you are not there. That means most of us were non-essential in the first place. So the question for us is, we need now to reach out in terms of saying that each one of the organization has a certain expertise, and if two organizations in the Northeast or three organizations in the Northeast, that we are basically four pillars, four parts of a stool that we can sit on. All of us were trying to sit on a single-legged stool, and we were trying to grow, and a single-legged stool to a large height will fall. We are saying the only way to reach out is to actually collaborate, as if thinking that as you're growing the stool, you need more partners to come in. And if more people need to be, and you have to grow the stool at a faster rate. And the only way to do it is and today it makes sense, because more so because the financial resources are going to completely get, everybody who's funding have collapsed in terms of their market value. So they're not, the funding is going to go down. You will be forced to collaborate to leverage the other funding sources or other collaborative sources in the rural area. So if people who are not able to collaborate will collapse. whether we like it or not. It's no longer a choice. And it's good that it's no longer a choice, because the only way to have impact is sometimes you need a danda. Like, why do we wear helmets? It's not because we're going to get killed. It's because the police will catch us. The same way, this is COVID is like a danda that has happened.
Yeah, no, and it's a good last note to end with. Collaboration is no longer a choice. On that note, thank you so much, Harish. Stay
Thanks.
safe, stay well, and we'll meet when you're in India.
Absolutely. Hopefully, the first
Thank
flight
you.
I will be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.